have to leave.
Grand rising, everyone. And it's Wednesday. Okay. June the 11th.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Grand Rising Elizabeth Wealth Building Wednesday. Wealth Building Wednesday. And this month, we are celebrating fathers. We're celebrating fathers all month, which I think is so amazing and so well deserved. Sometimes
Yes.
forget about our brothers. They go through
Okay.
things too. They go through
Yeah.
things too. Well, my name is LaKeisha Lagrande, also known as Madam Finance, because I help everyday people build wealth with
All
confidence.
right. All
So,
right.
those who don't know, I love to start off our show with a millionaire or billionaire success story.
All right.
So, since we're celebrating Father's Day,
Okay.
I thought I'd do a success story on a man. And we have heard this story over and over and over again. So, but our success story today is when Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of the multi-billion-dollar franchise Kentucky Fried Chicken, was 6 years old when his father died. His mother was forced to go to work, and young Harlan had to take care of his 3-year-old brother and baby sister. This meant doing much of the family cooking. At age 10, he got his first job working on a nearby farm for $2 a month. When he was 12, his mother remarried and he left his home near Henryville, Indiana, for a job on a farm in Greenwood, Indiana. After that, he got a job at a service station. When he was 40, the colonel began cooking for hungry travelers who stopped at the service station in Corbin, Kentucky. He didn't have a restaurant then, but served folks on the dining table in the living quarters of his service station. Over the next 9 years, he perfected his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices and the basic cooking techniques that is still used today. In the early 1950s, a new interstate highway was planned to bypass the town of Corbin. This caused the little money that Colonel Sanders was making to come to an end. After paying his bills, he was reduced to living on his $105 Social Security checks.
Mhm.
Confident of the quality of his chicken and being tired of being broke, the colonel took his $105 Social Security check and invested it in his own business. He traveled across the country by car from restaurant to restaurant, cooking batches of chicken for restaurant owners and their employees. If the reaction was favorable, he entered into a handshake agreement on a deal that stipulated a payment to him of a nickel of each chicken the restaurant sold. By 1964, Colonel Sanders had more than 600 franchise outlets for his chicken in the United States and Canada. KFC was acquired in October 1986 from RJR Nabisco Inc. and by Pepsi Cola Inc. for approximately $840 million.
Mhm.
In January 1997, PepsiCo Inc. announced the spinoff of its quick service restaurants, KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. The new restaurant company, Tricon Global Restaurants Inc., will be the world's largest restaurant system with more than 29,500 KFCs, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell restaurants in nearly 100 countries and territories. And this all began with a 65-year-old gentleman who used his $105 Social Security check to start a business.
Wow.
I declare and decree that we all are success stories. And it doesn't matter what your age is, that you can begin where you are right now. Right now. You can start right now. I'm happy to announce that Monday was the official launch, the book launch of Building Wealth, Building Legacy. Woo! I'm so excited. And that is
Yay.
one of the things the book talked about is that you can begin now. It doesn't matter where you at. That you can be successful in building wealth for yourself, for your family. So I'm so excited about that. Um, you know, I feel like I'm being moved to a different paradigm shift, you know, mentally as well as spiritually, you know. And today is day number 37. No meat, no meat, no pork. So I'm so proud of myself. I'll be calling Sister Stacy for some recipes on how to eat because it can be very frustrating. So, thank God Natural Living by Design has some amazing products like Mental Master and my Women's Energy Balance. So it's really been helping me so that I don't get stressed and don't have these different mood swings and different things like that. So,
I got
I'm
you on the recipes. I got you.
okay. So I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited about our amazing guest, Mr. Calvin Thompson, our Elizabeth.
Right.
He is part of the family. And I thought that he would be amazing because he's an amazing person with amazing personality, great energy, just full of wealth of information. He's an author. He, deals with transformation, mindset, and he is a father. Okay. So I'm excited to know about you being a father, your children, and take it away, Calvin.
You talk about me. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for being Elizabeth, bro. First and foremost, this is a great form, a great opportunity to focus on personal development. And a critical part of personal development is your mindset. You have to change. If you want to do something different, you must be something different. And you have to change your habitual way of thinking. And you can. But it takes something that you tap into inside of you that guides direct you because it's that indwelling spirit you just mentioned. Your spiritual connection, which fuels everything. Even by myself, I can't do it. I can't do it. We learn the value of leaning on the Lord and not our own understanding. Because when you step out on faith, the first thing you have to deal with, you cannot judge things by their appearance. Colonel Sanders was 65 years old, like you said. He could have said he could retire and just kept his Social Security and pension and just sit on the sideline and let somebody else do it. But he had the courage, fear, and conviction to step out on faith. And when it comes to being a father, I've been a father since I was very, very young. And that was something that happened when I was on my way to college. I wouldn't expect to become a father. My goal was to go to law school. And then, wow, the first semester, I had a baby on the way. And I was scared. I was scared. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And that was something that I learned that if you fall down, you can get back up. The challenges of dealing with all that caused emotional challenges for me as well. But you know what? God used that experience of emotional, psychological challenges to help me become the person I am. A minister said something I like quote. He said, God will put you in a situation, bring you out, will put you back there to help others. So having challenges is not your testimony for you, it's to help somebody else. So I became the person I am, focused on mental health, wellness, because I had my own needs. But in the process, I became an asset to so many people. There's no telling what you can do once you make your mind up to seek not just guidance, but divine guidance. We have an awesome mind. Even the Bible say what? As a man think and believe in their heart, so are they. It also let this mind be you. There's also in Christ Jesus. Then it says, be you not conformed to the ways of the world, but be you transformed by the renewal of the mind. And as a father, you take on a lot of responsibility, especially if you're a conscientious father, because look like this, you are molding your children. You're their constant role model. And then if you have a wife or the mother involved, you are anchor for them. So a lot of men run from responsibility for family, but the most rewarding thing you can do is be a father, and especially be attached to the whole experience. It's not easy. But because of your diligence and your faith and conviction, and like you said, you stuck to the grind. And if you stick to the grind, God will show you his might through you. I became this person because I had to, because God decreed that I become this person. And he rewarded me for my faith, my conviction. So on Father's Day, shout out to all the fathers. Because see, Chris Rock say, you get the big piece of chicken, but you're more than that. They say on Mother's Day, you have to make reservations 6 months in advance for activity. Father's Day, you walk right on in. But still, don't negate yourself being a father, because after all, you are the anchor and the rock to not just your family, but your whole community. A lot of challenges that we face right now is because there is an imbalance across the land. Look at like this. There was a time about 1995, 96, you had two phenomenal movements to come on the scene at the same time, the Promise Keepers and the Million Man March. It was deal with what? Empowering the man to remind them of the value that they have. But the task was so enormous, they both went to the top, but they fizzled out. But see, the thing about being a man, you have to have that balance, that yin and that yang. Because like it says, it's a man's world, but it's not without a woman. The male-female relationship is so dynamic to you. I've learned that through being married is that when you have a wife, she goes to the doctor all the time. I hate Neil, she going to the doctor. But you know, I became more conscious of my health and wellness, because if she going to the doctor, I say, I better change. But you stop the bad habits. If you incline to, you stop your bad habits, because you have to take care of family. You can't take care of family if you're sickly and your health is compromised, especially if it's self-inflicted. So a critical part of being a father and being a husband as well is that my whole lifestyle changed because it needed to. Health and wellness really is reflected what you put in your mouth. Your lifestyle and habits really can destroy you. It may seem like it's feel good, but it's really destroying you. Drugs, alcohol, tobacco, not getting your rest, eating wrong. Hey, you have to cut that spirit off. So really, when you have a family, you become a better person, especially with conscientious, okay? Because your quality of life affects your quality of life. So man, think about it. You are responsible for your children and your spouse or significant other. If you're married, you're responsible for your whole family. So make the change and be okay with it. Learn how to deal with the whole person. That's what I learned. You have to deal with your emotional needs, like you said, your spiritual needs, psychological health. You have to deal with the whole persona, because after all, wellness is important for you, because everybody, the buck starts with you. If anything happened to your family, first thing I say, well, where's your father? And then they ask, come to the house, is your husband there, okay? So really, there is an imbalance, but see, now it's time for the man to be on point and get out of the societal norms saying that you can run and hide or do what you want to do. No, you can't. You have to be conscientious. You have to be spiritual minded to do well as a man. And that's not a judgment call, it's just a fact. When you're in tune with your higher frequency as a man, you tend to do better. Think about it. Think about this scenario in the Bible. It talks about the prodigal son. But also the prodigal son, yes, but the father. The prodigal son, he was not the oldest son. He was the youngest son. And he has his father for his inheritance. And his father, having the knowledge and insight that he did, he gave him his inheritance. So the son went out in the world and squandered all his wealth. having a good time and enjoying himself. And he was a person of a Jewish heritage. And what I'm saying that for a reason, because he was so bad off, he ended up being in the pigsty with the pigs getting ready to eat slop. And he came to himself, realized I better come home to my father's house. But that's one side of the equation. The father was anxiously going to the road every day, waiting for his son to come home. Think about it. This man, his father, he knew his son was going to do the wrong thing, but he loved him dearly. And he went to the road every day looking for his son to come home. And when his son came home, he welcomed him. But that's how God is towards us. He wants us to do the right thing. And he wants us to come back into the fold and coming back to the awareness of who we really are. You can't get around it. If you're made in God's image and likeness and you breathe into the nostrils and infuse the spirit, it's only natural that you would be on one accord with him. Fatherhood is important because you have to understand the role that you play, and you have to be there for your whole family. And then when you're a role model for your family, there's so many children that become your extended family. In my neighborhood, a lot of my friends, my son's friends, they don't have their father in their home. So really, I became the father figure for them too. So really, think about it. You deserve, give yourself more consideration to what you do, because when you're a conscientious father, it pays off immensely. Because look at what you do. You're the rock for not just your family, but the whole community. Think about it. You have a lot of, yes. I'm sorry.
Okay, so because this is wealth building Wednesday, I just want to know, for as far as a man and his responsibility financially to his family, like,
Yeah.
what is your take on that? Like, do you feel that the man should protect the household? Should he pay for everything? Should there be some balance? Like, what is your take on a man and his responsibility when he has children and a wife? Because
Well,
sometimes, go ahead.
the Bible says a wise man leaves his inheritance to his children's children. So you leave in them, but it's not so much what you leave for them, it's what you leave inside of them. Because wealth is really a mindset. It's a mindset. So really, you're a good steward of your money, and you focus on budgeting. A lot of times, people just spend their money and just enjoy it. But what about tomorrow? Tomorrow begins with today. So investing in the financial solvency of your family. Everybody look at the man and say, "What is you going to do there? We got to pay these bills." Well, how you manage your family affairs and financially is so important. And this is an economy that requires a couple to work together. You'll be a spender and a saver. That happens. But you still have to make sure that you manage money, because a lot of the problems that people have in a family, in a marriage, is related to the financial mismanagement. Being on a healthy accord with financial stewardship is important. And just when you're making the money, you have to save it. And I know we all like to shop and nice thing, but be frugal. Invest in your finance. Have a good time, but invest in your financial solvency, and that comes from you making sure that you work together with the money. And sometimes a man, he may be in a great position to buy it, and a woman can sit at home. But in this economy, a lot of women, they like to have their own money, and they like to make sure that they doing things for themselves. So really, it's best if you were thinking about it like, we pay the bills together, or we manage the household together. Because if something happened to me, you need to know how to take care of things. And if you so depend, we may get divorced. And you get out there and you don't know what to do. So really, you're learning the value of being a team player throughout the whole marriage. And you can enjoy the fruits of your labor together. But you don't want to fall out over money, but you can. You can. You can. But you don't have to.
One thing, you hit on something really real. So I deal with a lot of seniors, right? And back in the day, the men took care of their family. Like
Yeah.
the woman stayed at home, the man took care of their family.
Mm.
But one thing that you hit on is that I think it's very important as women that we do learn how to pay the bills, because I've had several clients, their husband passed away, they paid all the bills, they did everything, and then when he left, they didn't know what to do.
Yes, yes.
They didn't know what to do. I'm going with a client right now where, she gives the check that she works for, she just give it to her husband and he takes care of everything. They just had some serious health challenges, both of
Mhm.
them.
Yes.
And she wouldn't even, she felt lost. He said, I have to teach you how to pay these bills. I have
That's
to
right.
teach
That's
you
right.
how to do these things, because right now she don't know anything really what's going on, which I feel like it's a blessing in disguise to have a man to be able to take care of, to be able to trust the man enough to handle all the bills. I haven't got there yet.
Okay, okay.
I'm
You're
so
moving there,
used
though.
to,
You're moving in that
used to
direction.
being in control. And I want to know absolutely without a shadow of a doubt that these bills are getting paid. But what does that
Yeah.
for a man? Like, is that a good thing to have? Like, I teach my children, my boys, I only have two boys. One, he moved in with the young lady sooner than what I anticipated. I didn't think it was a good idea. But I'm like, no, don't play house. You're supposed to pay everything. Don't expect her to pay those things. I'm not saying that she can take her money and do whatever she wants to do. As a man, you have a plan, for it, but you're supposed to take the woman, from your dad, and then you telling him, I'm going to take care of her. You no longer have to take care of her. That's my responsibility. Do you think that is a good position today?
Well, well, again, the most important thing is money management because just like you can mismanage money, have a lot of money. People have had a lot of money, just looked at it. They didn't manage it and they lost everything. For example, they did a segment on ESPN about all these athletes that have all this money, and some of them are living from paycheck to paycheck, and they're struggling in the off season because they don't understand how to manage money. Again, the most important thing is not so much what you leave in for your children, is what you leave inside of them, because wealth is a mindset and so is poverty. And if you don't understand how to manage money, you can have a lot of money but still have a poverty mindset. So the most important thing is for people to be educated on how money works for you or against you based upon your understanding. Because really, you're buying things, and these things they don't really have the value. You buy a lot of stuff, and then the moment is gone. You need more stuff, okay? But investing in the inner person is the true wealth, because we look at the social media and the media period and focus on the rich and famous, and you're gonna have all this and have all that. But you know what? The most important thing is to have a very comprehensive approach to abundance. Don't just have look at having a lot of money, but then a spiritual disconnection or poor health. You have to have abundance across the board. Then the money can work for you and instead of working against you, because you can take that money and then you can invest in your vision, and then you don't have to worry about if something happens, you already when you know how to make money, that doesn't change. Doesn't, because it's a mindset. You know how to make money. If you lose it, you know how to get it back and get it back and have even more. So really, money management is really the key. Because the things is secondary, but it's what you become and the process. Is anything is your personal development is always the key. It's not so much it's the journey more so than the destination in life. So you
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
continuous improvement.
Okay. So, what is a woman's posture? Like, what is her posture? Because sometimes, you know, um, you know, the the young men think differently than the older men as far as, family, um, a lot of, disrespect to the ladies,
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of challenging when you end up with a relationship and he's not holding up to the standard that a man should. Then sometimes it's too late because women end up with children with these men maybe sooner than what they were supposed to. So, what is the posture of a woman when a man is not being a man? Like we're supposed to be submissive, like submissive. We're taught to be submissive to the husband,
Hmm.
him being the head. But what is, as far as women, what is our posture when that is not the case? Like, I know sometimes words can hurt a man if you're not, um being loving, being uplifting. Like, what is a woman's posture when she is with a man?
Think about it. Men have needs too. And most important thing the man needs is respect. And if his home is immensely challenged, then um, that puts him in a compromised position. How we deal with each other is so important because we have to think about not just what we say, but the effect it have on people. And if a man and a woman, they have to get along because if you don't get along, then you really are in an adversarial role, like you're sleeping with the enemy. And if you're not really in tune with one another, because you don't know how a person is until you start dealing with them up close and personal, especially when you're dealing with them in a home environment, whether you're married or living together or married. When you're in each other's personal space, you have to be able to deal with each other, the good, the bad, and the ugly, whether you want to or not, because you make a commitment to that person and they start to act, it can go south and go left before you know it. But communication is important, and being able to put a bridle on your tongue or settling your disputes, because some people are more confrontational than what they realize. You don't know how you're going to act until you start doing a person up close and personal in your personal space. That's why there were so many challenges with some people when we had the COVID, because you was in each other personal space too long, too much. You may not have been able to deal with it. But how you deal with your disputes and conflicts is critical because some people are confrontational and some people are more, we're going to reason it through. When you have to be able to agree, to disagree, and still be agreeable. And depends on how you were socialized and your background or how you was raised. Because when you talk about the man taking care of the woman, that was really that changed in the 60s. Women started to work more because of economic reasons. Plus, they wanted their own money. So far as a man taking care of a woman, that's something that's a rarity now because of the economics. But but still, you still have to be because if that man is not there, if he gets sick and you have to work, what are you going to do? It's not so much as a gender specific thing. It's a mindset. It's not just gender specific roles these days because people are into making sure they're good. And when you come into a relationship, you already have your mindset about what you want and what you don't want. But you have to work together on a daily basis because if you don't, that's a disaster. A lot of people fall apart because they don't have these expectations when they're not met. They don't know how to be able to deal with a person and help them grow into that person. They want them to be that person now when really you have to change. But just like you want expectations of him, he wants expectation of you. And you both could fall short of that because of what's in my head and heart, not yours. You have the best intentions, but you may be giving 100%, but to me, that may be 30%. You know what I need?
We have,
Communication.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so good. We have Sister Deidre hand is up, and then Queen's next.
Well,
Go ahead,
grand
Sister.
rising to all that I'm talking before now. Greetings. Let's see, Calvin, you made me think about, my husband's family. he was raised a certain way. So I met him, but he already came with how he was gonna cover everything. I mean, literally everything.
Yes.
Because his daddy taught him, and then his grandfather taught his daddy.
Yes.
That goes in his line of family. So it wasn't any issue with that at all. Thank goodness. But I even as a woman in this relationship, I want to do more. You know, I that's why I wanted my business so that I can bring money into this situation too. And he's like, "You don't have to do any of that." He tells me this.
Yes.
And I'm like, "But he supports me, but it's on me. It's what I want to do for us." But
Yes.
he has it covered. He really
Yeah.
does. So I think the family line, that father line,
Yes.
it was passed on
Yes.
continually. All his uncles, they're like that. It just runs in the family. But
That's
thank you
good.
for what you shared too.
And the thing about it, women have their own identity. So it's not so much the having to work for Biden. What if we own personal gratification? Like you said, you want to have your own business because you have your own identity as a person. I'm not just as a woman, you're not just somebody's wife, you're your own person.
True, true. That's right.
Queen.
Yeah, I just wanted to just throw this in as a well, one. I'm very independent, a very independent woman.
Yes.
I'm a very godly woman as well. And with my husband, the way I think, like if I wanted something, is I still make sure because he takes care of the bills and stuff. I still make sure that if I want something like, when to say I want a Jag or I want all this, whatever I want, even with my business, I know that if anything happens to me, that he has to take care of that. So let's say, we pull our money together, but I intentionally don't go over what basically he is making. But if
Yes.
something happens to me, he has to step in and take care of all of that.
Yes.
So my money is like extra. That's
Yes.
how I look at things.
Mm-hmm.
So that and so even like when I wanted a Jag and stuff, and then we saw, he's like, you don't need a Jag. It's cost so much to do this, that, and the other, and the car, the everything that costs more. Um, but I had to think about that if something happens, can he step in and take that bill over,
Yes.
or the things that need to be done with the car?
That's right.
Because I was just, something I wanted,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And I know that he will take care of that. But
Yeah.
will it be a major struggle, or will I end up losing what I have?
That's
I
right.
think as a woman, as the wife, or as the woman in the relationship, we have to be sensitive to that part. Likewise,
Likewise, yes.
likewise.
It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very careful about my choices in that area, because I know that if something happens, he has to. So in other words, we're not going to get a house,
Yes.
and based on both of our income, and
Yes.
then one of the incomes disappears.
And that's the kind of stuff you have to think about
You
is
gotta
that
think about that.
you're always going to be more cautious and make sure that you're good because the financial challenges can really undermine the integrity of a marriage because when you don't work together, you do what you work against one another. And then it affects the quality of your relationship and the family dynamic, it goes downhill. So really you think about the impact of everything, how you raise the children, finance, how you spend time together, because people can become separated living in the same household. Alienation of affections is real. You become a stranger for another, and once that become a part of your relationship, unless you do something to change it, it becomes something that's normalized, and that's to your disadvantage. And then you're just in the household together. It's not a loving home. And is that what you wanted when you started out? Because
Yes.
when you deal with one another, up close and personal, over a extended period of time, you're different people with different needs. But the core components should be there that you love and care about one another. But you're not going to be the same person after 10, 15, 20, 30 years and more. You're not the same. You function different because your needs are different. And your perspective things has been influenced a large part by the relationship you have with another.
Okay.
So if you're talking about quality relationship, it affects everything.
Yes, Deidre has her hand up again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for sharing what you have, Calvin. But I want to speak
Yeah.
and give kudos to my father-in-law who has passed for the last couple years, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking care of his wife. My mother-in-law, of course, you guys know about her.
Yes.
But one thing I will say that as a man, he's still taking care of his wife. I mean, even though he's dead, he's transitioned. He is taking care of his wife. That woman is covered, but he worked towards that. I mean, I saw him
Yes.
doing all the paperwork, making sure that, because he knew he was going to transition at some point soon, but he made sure his wife was covered. I mean, she was taken care of. Right now, she's doing wonderful. I mean, literally financially, he's taking care of her. And he made sure that his sons and me, was going to take care of her physically,
Yes.
you know. So I am thankful to that man. I really, it draws tears because he was so wonderful. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, to think about that woman. He cared about his wife, and he knew she was gonna need him still.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to give him kudos. His name is Eddie. Yes.
Ashe,
Yes,
And
Eddie,
he
Ashe.
and
deserves
he
it.
that's
He
right.
does. He
That's
really
right.
do deserve it because that's like estate planning. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
estate planning. Like you thinking of ahead. That's true wealth building right there.
Yes.
To be able to still his legacy is still living along,
It
and then
is. It
his
is.
and his wife is still being taken care of. So
That's
that is
right.
so commendable. He deserves it. And I appreciate you sharing
Oh,
that
yes, thank you.
information because that's what we should be working on.
Yes.
If the man is not doing it, then it's us as a responsibility as a woman to push that man to make sure that things are okay on both ends. That
Yeah,
if
Mm-hmm.
something happens, then you're able to take care of him and vice versa.
that's right.
And
Mm-hmm.
he left a legacy that a mindset where
Yes,
the children, yes, the money, but in a comprehensive way, they're vested in their mother too. Because
exactly.
we have to look like not all families function like that.
Right.
Sometimes you get take the money and run, and the parents that's left go into a nursing home or they're on their own. So
Right.
he loved what abundance is not just the material, but the emotional, spiritual component.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he provided them with an understanding of not just the material side, but the value of a legacy,
That's
an
right.
inheritance to his children's children.
Yeah.
Okay. So he showed them how important it is to make sure the total person is dealt with.
Exactly.
Queen
Exactly.
Yeah.
Queen has her hand up.
Yes, yes, yes. I saw this TikTok, whatever the thing is. Um, and it was a mother, and she was saying that she had two children, and she said this was so wise of her. She said they got $1 million insurance, coverage on her. She said, all three of them, she said, I participate too. Said, I want y'all to have $1 million. If I do it by myself, I can't do it. But if all three of us pay for that insurance policy, then I know that both of you are going to have at least 500, half of that or whatever the amount, that we come together and do it together. I thought that was so profound. You said, I will do my part too. I will pay into it so that I know that you guys are okay when I exit. If I exit, and you always figure you're going to exit before your children, right? But I thought that was phenomenal. I think more families should think about it, especially if you have many children, come together on that one policy and make sure that we're going to all be all right. But I want to honor my mother because we didn't have to take care of anything. Mom, she was on Social Security, not welfare. We were raised on welfare and all of that stuff. But she made sure that when she left, we didn't have to pass a bucket or a hat
Right.
or, we didn't have to do any of that. And then had, like $5,000 so that we could just, split amongst us.
Okay, okay.
So it wasn't like hundreds of thousands or even hundreds, but it was, so each of us got $1,000. There's five of us. And so grateful that she had
Yes.
taken care of that with what she had.
Add what
There was
she
no
could.
father in our lives like that. But there was she had to play both roles, and she played both roles very well.
Oh, that was nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah, not nothing. We didn't have to pay for nothing. And had a little change, little $1,000 each to split. And it was in my name. And I said, oh, maybe I should just keep this. But she knew who I am. And
Yes.
but the bottom line is she did play both roles, and she took care of that. But I thought that when that lady, she shared that and how she did it with her two children, I think they were sons. And we're going to get this $1 million policy and we're going to split it.
That
So that
sounds like a
I
good
know
idea
that
for me.
you're going to be okay when I go.
That's generational wealth.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
But that's the
wisdom.
mindset. The mindset, how we think is so important because when you think about the power of unity
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
the destructive nature of not being unified. When you have a powerful unified family dynamic, it's something about that it gives something to, and because you set the tempo and the beat, the man and the mother and father, you set the tempo and the beat for the whole family. And if you have a very healthy disposition, it affects the quality of life for the children. Um, we need to up our game and how we
Ooh,
deal with one another as couples in a very comprehensive way and understand the impact that we have on our children instead of just bringing toxic energy to the equation and not knowing how to deal with conflict like we do. I remember working in psych, and I would tell the clients, you need to have group therapy at home. And that applies to us all. You need to sit down and have roundtable discussions about everything that affects one another, because when you start talking to your children when they're young, they get used to communication. But this idea, we can't talk, we fuss and argue all the time, that's not healthy because that undermines the fabric of the home. And how can you think about wealth if you have an impoverished character? It's not a loving home. So really, wealth building requires a very comprehensive approach because if you don't get along, you don't think about I'm already leave out of this relationship anyway. You should be thinking about the quality of life that you have and not just staying together, but how we deal with each other in our home.
That's right.
Because the money is important, but the whole enchilada, how we deal with each other, interact, that's where the wealth comes from. Because like you said, you didn't have a lot of money, but you had a lot of love
That's
in your
right.
home. And the
yes.
children, that's right. And that's key. People think about wealth in material sense alone, but to have a loving home, that's where the wealth is.
Exactly. Exactly. We have another hand.
Yes. That was so good. what we're talking about. Because when I'm an ex-banker, and when I worked in the bank, you know, other ethnic groups use life insurance different than we do. We use it for burial. They use
There
it
you
for
go.
legacy building. They use it not only when you said that we all can go in on it and purchase. Like I tell my children, even today, my two boys, you all, even though I got them covered, but it would be wise for you all to get a life insurance policy also on your dad and on me. Like you should do that. Like you're not supposed to say it's an investment. They're not allowed, you're not supposed to say that it's an investment, but actually it is an investment. And the same concept that you're using to say, hey, we can go in on this particular policy, is the same concept you can do. Like I used to go to the boat shows. I used to go to the RV shows. And it used to be shocking that you could get you a super nice boat with the only paying $300 a month. As a family, we can go in on that, and we own a boat. We, you know
Yes.
what I'm saying? We can own the boat. We can own the RV. Who's gonna be on the RV all the time? Like you can use it when you need to use it. You can like we can build things, accumulate things together. Where $300 we can't pay. You know what I'm saying? The note for a boat. You know what I mean? Or for this RV, put your money together and do that. So I've seen so many different things along the line, but it starts like now, having that conversation. I remember my uncle, every time, not just my uncle, other back in the day, this is how they did. They always, remember when the insurance person would come and pick up the premium. Soon as a baby was born, the elderly made sure that that new grandbaby had insurance. The next baby who was born automatically had life insurance. The next one automatically. We don't do that now. We don't do that now. They know how to, and when I was working at the bank, how to get those $1 million policies at a young age and build wealth, and how to use the cash value to purchase houses, to purchase different things, and then pay it back. They used it. They didn't just use it for burial. We use life insurance just for burial. They use it differently than we do. And
Yeah.
we need to change our mindset, like you said, Calvin.
A
Yeah.
Great
paradigm
talk.
shift.
Thank you,
If it's not
LaKeisha.
working for you, why are you going to continue to do it?
Yeah.
Being in a conflictual mode and being antagonistic for one another, being individualistic is a disservice. Because time, when you're together and you don't work together, that's time you lose that you don't get back. And then the quality of your life and everybody's affected. So really sitting down, having conversations, dialogue, fellowship has to be a way of life. How we deal with ourselves and one another is really the most important, because when you love and care about one another, you make sure that we both matter. And when you talk about some people are so I'll say broken or challenged, they don't know how to give, but that can change. We have to address the total person. So really being loving and kind can help a person be more open and address their needs better. So really the things that get in our way when it comes to wealth building, we have to address.
Queen has her hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, there was something else that I saw where they were talking about Chinese.
Yes.
They have, their legacy is, Chinese restaurants. And then you have the different ethnic groups who have the hotels, and then you have others that have different things. But as a people, Black, what?
There was a time we did have stuff, but
We barbecue.
we changed. We had more when we were separate, we had more stuff and a better perspective on
Yeah,
entrepreneur
that's
and
true.
ventures. But when we became more selfish, without really, I got mine, you get yours, that was a tremendous disservice because we are communal people by nature.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why we should not have our own venues in our own community.
Yeah.
We just invest in things more than, income generation.
Yeah, when the license was changed for natural hair with the
Yes.
cosmetology, I was I spearheaded that, the license being changed to have a separate license from cosmetology. And so after that happened, then a lot of the African shops opened up. And we were just talking about how when they came, they would come open up a shop and then they would bring other people, just like the Chinese and all of them would do. They would work together. They would work together on the heads. But we as African American, we have no, this is mine, because now we're so used to working in our individual ways and our individual styles of braiding, because when you would see African braiding, you would know that was African, they went to an African shop, right? And then they would have the person that would be, and it's usually a man who would be over all the girls and stuff, and it wasn't that, well, anyway, we as women have come over here and then we become individual and free and independent. And so I want mine's this way. She wants hers that way. Everybody had their different styles, and it was not as easy and common for all of us to work together because we're free now. And so there was a cost for that as well.
Immense cost.
There's a cost. Now, I don't, I like now. I'm glad I can change. I can turn my salon over to and the school over to my son.
Okay.
But no, we get over when we over here, African American women, I'm not giving my money to somebody else. I'm not
the whole
experience. I wasn't going to do that.
The whole experience is not healthy because not just we've done ourselves a disservice. We're not individualistic in nature. We are communal people. We're supposed to be a community because when we're not a community, we get plucked off one by one. When you pool your resources and work as a community and as a family, because look at it like this, our church is over here, our school's over there, and we're over here on our own pod, and it's not an integrated approach, okay? So therefore, when we have a need, we have to figure it out by ourselves. That's conditioning. Instead of the church being the greatest the spiritual hub and the resource for the whole community at large, it's just there as a building. Mm-hmm. And then the schools in their own little pod, not realizing the challenges that we face shows up in the community with the children, because that's ground zero. So we really have disemfranchised, disempowered ourselves by not being a community. Because when we are communal people and advocating for one another, then we have a safer community. And we didn't call it a village, but we had a village back in the day. But when we have a village mentality, then everybody's on point, and the children respect one another and respect each other at home. But how we deal with each other, you mentioned a paradigm shift. What we're doing is not working, but this is an inside job. Being loving and kind and being the spiritual people that we need to be is our greatest asset. But how can we just say they took prayer out of school, but then we take it out of ourselves? What they do is one thing, but how we deal with ourselves on a daily basis is our wealth.
Yes,
that's true.
I've I feel like for everyone that's on this Zoom, that is our responsibility because it starts in our home. It starts in our
Yes.
home. If you feel like you haven't done everything that you're supposed to do financially, maybe as far as investing, maybe you feel like, you didn't make a lot of good choices, you can start now. Like you can start learning about passive income. You can start, maybe you can't afford to get a policy, or your health may not be where it need to be. It doesn't matter about your health when you can open up a brokerage account and you only need $5 to start investing for your family, because that's something that can be lived down to generations. $5. You could, I don't, my grandkids is not even born yet, but I've started a brokerage account because I don't know how long I will live, how long I'll be able to contribute to them. So I want them to know that, hey, my grandmother did this for me. And I can set up that passive income. We all have $5. Like it does, your credit doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all have extra money to do different things. It's just about what's important to you. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your children or your grandchildren, or or your adults. You think that sometimes these men or adults are mature at 40, at 50 or 30. Sometimes they're not. So it is up to us to make sure that we have that communication, we have that dynamic, talks, like you said, Calvin, like coming together as a unit and to build trust. Because that's another thing. We don't trust each other.
Taking ownership is the key. If we don't have it, that can change because we have to sow seeds and it begins right here, right now. Like you said, maybe I'm 70, you don't have it now, but see, you still can do what you can now and still plant seeds now because that's all. There's always a need that's ongoing. If you haven't done the right thing at this point in time, cut that spirit off. Do something different now and take ownership of your life and change the trajectory. Because you can say it don't matter. It do matter. It matters right here now, being 70, how I function today, because you can take a shift and do something that adds to your quality of life that can increase your lifespan. Because you don't just want to be here anyway at 70. You want to have a vibrant life even at 70. So everything about you has to be rich. Your lifestyle, your conversation. Well, the conversation you have with yourself every day is important. Not just how you talk. How do you talk to yourself every day? What is your narrative?
Yes. This was so amazing and wonderful, Calvin. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I hope this show was beneficial to a lot of people to, give us something to think about financially. I really appreciate all the things that you shared. Deetra, everyone, but we're at 10:01. We're at the hour. We thank you so much for being our guests. 2 days in a row.
All right. Thank you for putting up with me for 2 days in a row. Kick them out now, okay?
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing. And I just want to say, thank you. And I want everyone to stay encouraged. It's only Wednesday. We still can accomplish a lot by the end of the week. And just stay encouraged and know that it's not too late to start. You can start right now. You're on time right now. So let's hug ourselves, because sometimes we don't hug ourselves. We take care of everybody else and hug everybody else, and we don't hug ourselves. Let's hug the world, because the world needs a hug too. And let's sprinkle love and light to all of those that are in authority. We send enough love and life to those in authority. You never know what can be amazing. Okay. So have a wonderful and fantastic Wednesday on purpose.
God bless and thank you.